Welcome to the Dynasty Dads Podcast. Football, rankings, debates, dad stuff with your host, Justin Williams and Matt Renshaw.
And welcome everybody to another episode of the Dynasty Dads. I'm your host, Matt, Excessive Celebration Renshaw, and I'm here without Justin this week. So I've got the studio to myself. It's a nice, quiet place, but I'm not alone. I was lucky enough to go out and find somebody that knows a little bit about podcasting, somebody that I kind of owe the podcast to. This is a guy that kind of got me started on this path. Had a podcast, has a podcast now. Just kind of been around and knows a lot of people. The fantasy rapper himself, G Squared, Gabe Gehring. Gabe, welcome to the show.
Hey, I wish I could come in with the roll of the tongue, but I've been trying for years, and I just kind of look like I'm throwing up or something. So
I feel like it's a genetic thing. I think that's what I was told in high school science.
The family show. Okay.
Yeah. So Gabe, what's new? Tell the people where they can find you, what you're up to.
Man, the open bar all week, every week. We're always just open talking about football. It seems that we have no show sheet. We just keep it riding. But yeah, we're live every Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern with my main man, J Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shout out to J Mike. It's odd. I've done a few podcasts here and there, whatever guest spots, but it's very odd coming on without my dude. So,
yeah,
my big cuddly bear. So this is going to be different, Renshaw. I don't know how you are in terms of
cuddliness.
Well, okay. Yeah. Cuddliness works. Yeah. It's not the size of the bear.
Well, I lost the beard, the facial hair that I had from weeks past. So No Shave November ended, and here we are now with fresh face, 12-year-old looking Renshaw.
You look great. I'm appreciate you for the No Shave November versus the other thing that has become a thing.
Yes. No, never. Since I have two children, and we are all over the place with those 13 whole months apart. So let's just get right into it. We're going to start off with some news and notes. Kind of a big week this week with different things happening. We'll start with the biggest news, the coaching news. The Green Bay Packers finally fired Mike McCarthy. 13 seasons as the head coach in Green Bay. McCarthy's winning percentage is just a tad bit, just shy of 62%. He won one Super Bowl with the Packers in 2010. Gabe, what does this do to the Green Bay skill position guys? It's fantasy playoff time. Do we trust them? Do we fade them a little bit? Do we not even know?
It's an interesting situation because with, teams with like the Cardinals, we were a little bit excited for that kind of turnaround just to see something a little bit different. And I think David Johnson has improved a little bit since that firing, but Mike McCarthy, that's a 13-year program. Like, how do you flip that so quickly? And of course you do it with Aaron Rodgers. So, ultimately I think that they're all hail to Aaron Rodgers on this team. And it really is just surrounding by him. So, his success is dependent on, or rather the people around him is their success is dependent on Aaron Rodgers. So the better he does, the better they will do. I don't know if the skills are there for some of those surrounding players. They're all just rookie wide receivers,
yeah.
And besides Devontae Adams, and maybe they actually give Aaron Jones the ball now, but it's hard to say because they've just been used to such a thing that they haven't adapted for 13 years.
It's funny you say Aaron Jones because I think the biggest winner of this is Aaron Jones. Like, it seemed like Mike McCarthy had it out for Aaron Jones. Rodgers had publicly stated that he thinks Jones needed more play, more touches. And I feel like every game I watched, Jones would be hot in the first half and get 6 carries in the second half of the game. Or just, I think if there's one real winner, it's Aaron Jones. I expect the Packers to come out firing on all cylinders this week. I expect a big game from Rodgers. Adams is still a wide receiver 1. I think Graham's kind of a low-end tight end 1. I just think they're going to come out and try to prove what they can do and kind of stick it in McCarthy's face.
That's usually what happens with coaches firings. They completely turn a 180 and do the opposite of whatever that coach was into. So yeah, I can definitely see it happening for Aaron Jones.
So let's stay on running backs. Other big news. We're not going to get too deep into the news of it, but the Chiefs cut Kareem Hunt. Fantasy implications for this. So we've already seen a week of Spencer Ware. Didn't do awful. Didn't do very hot as a starter. Andy Reid after the game said he, quote, wanted to establish a 3-man committee between Ware, Damian Williams, and Darrell Williams. Is Kansas City backfield something to avoid? Or are you buying one of those guys? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just don't really care. An interesting point came up last night is about, and I know we're talking about the rest of the season, the playoffs, whatever, and maybe you can get by with Ware in your flex, whatever. But I mean, I've seen trades where people went all in on it, and just because of the offense surrounding it, and maybe it's not that easy. So I think the Chiefs are going to address that running back position in the draft, even though it's not all that strong.
Yeah, and we've seen, I mean, Hunt was a third round pick. Not a ton of hype coming out.
Depending on who you're talking to.
Well, yeah. But Andy Reid has shown that he can take mediocre running backs. Not that Hunt is mediocre, but take these guys and put them in situations to succeed. And I kind of agree with that. And
you should give Spencer Ware maybe a little bit of a chance because the dude hasn't really carried a heavy workload like this for a while.
When before Hunt was there, he was an RB1. He's shown that he can do it. I think people are kind of quick to react, but the comments that Andy Reid made after the game kind of made me go, maybe that's not something that I want to be a part of. Is if the backfield's awful, I don't want to say awful. If the backfield's not what it was with Kareem Hunt, is that boost Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey, Sammy Watkins?
Well, what was interesting is Mahomes was their leading rusher last week.
Yep.
I think so. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah,
in terms of Mahomes in the rushing game, they're just going to be more dependent on him, much like things have happened in the past with Russell Wilson and where they were relying on him to do everything. And he was rushing the ball a ton. So yeah, as if Mahomes wasn't already.
Needed a boost. Yeah. Easily the QB1. I think if it wasn't for Drew Brees, Mahomes might be the MVP.
Yeah, if Mahomes was not making as many mistakes, essentially, because that's what Brees is doing. He's on the level of Mahomes without the mistakes.
Yep, and that's not. I mean, basically a rookie quarterback tearing up the league. So we'll stay with the Chiefs, sort of. Although it was reported and misreported. What's up, J Mike? That the Chiefs were going to sign C.J. Anderson. He joined the rival, and I use that term very loosely right now, Oakland Raiders. What's John Gruden doing? Like, does C.J. Anderson have any value in Oakland? And kind of what is the Doug Martin effect? The muscle hamster fall out of the wheel?
I think so. I mean, I saw that he was signed there to Oakland. I didn't see the contract though. Was it just a year, 2? I don't even know what that was.
I'm assuming it's a year. I can't imagine that.
So I just
commit to him too long.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it is a couple years, like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm not even going to act like I try to know because I don't get it. I think fans, I don't know. They're moving to Las Vegas. Maybe they're trying something to where, like, don't quit on us, Raider fans. Trying to keep it exciting, leading into Las Vegas, get Las Vegas people excited. I have no idea.
C.J. Anderson signed a 1-year, $1.7 million contract. No, that's actually not the Oakland deal. That was the deal in Carolina. So yeah, it looks like it's a 1-year deal for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw some news earlier today that Martin is out hurt, so it kind of helps explain this move a little bit.
Right, with the shoulder, and it looks like he's going to play anyways, and Jalen Richard is fine, but I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's John Gruden he's either smarter than everybody and just laughing at us all, or dumber than everybody, but he's still laughing at us all because he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, I can't figure the guy out. He's probably laughing because he's cashing that $10 million a year check for 10 years.
Yeah. No.
So we'll stay on the running backs. James Conner out this week for the Steelers, giving rookie Jalen Samuels a start. What should we expect from the rookie at NC State? He finished last week with 2 rushing attempts for 5 yards, 3 catches for 20 yards, and a TD. Those numbers are kind of skewed because the injury happened mid to late fourth quarter. They brought Stephen Ridley back, and Mike Tomlin has come out and said the intention is to use a running back by committee, but Samuels is going to get the start.
Yeah, didn't Jalen Samuels say himself that he was starting?
I didn't see that.
I thought I read that today that like he himself said that he was starting. He's like, okay.
All right. I like a guy that's going to take charge of a backfield.
You know what, Mike? I'm starting.
I'm the rookie here, and I'm telling you what I'm doing.
But I don't know. I mean, I had this issue in a standard league of mine. Don't ask why I am in a standard league. But
I think everybody still has one of those.
I think you got to hang on to one for whatever reason. And it's on Yahoo. So you have the tight end eligibility. So that was, dumb. Highly attractive. Yeah,
Yeah, I would agree that's attractive. I just don't know how Yahoo, he's been listed as a running back. He was drafted as a running back, but they've got him listed as a tight end.
Yeah.
Did you scoop him? Are you going to start him at your tight end spot this week?
The thing is it's a wide receiver / tight end, but running backs in standard are a bit more valuable. But the problem with Samuels is he's likely more going to be a guy involved in the passing game, which just kind of takes that standard piece out of the game already. So do I think he's, a guy that has more of a chance to kind of bust out than Stephen Ridley? Yeah.
Yeah. What dynasty? So I'm in a few dynasties. I mean, we're the dynasty dads. Of course we're in dynasty leagues. I've got Samuels. I've rostered Samuels all year. In fact, I believe, and I wish I could find it. I looked earlier today and I couldn't figure it out. Somebody at Roto World, I'm like 95% sure it was Evan Silva, after the draft happened, had Jalen Samuels in like the top 4 running backs. And I don't know if he was quoting somebody else or what, but when somebody like that tweets that out, mentions that in a conversation, I took notice. So I've stashed him. Dynasty implications, long-term, does he have value?
Yeah. I think it's more of a situation that James Conner had value, and James Conner is being treated like Le'Veon Bell at this point, as far as ADP goes, or at least he's, quietly approaching that, or maybe not so quietly, but I think it will surge to that point come this offseason when Le'Veon Bell is actually not on the Steelers. I think that'll bump it up completely. So, yeah, I mean, he's on the Steelers, and they love to pound the rock with one dude. So
go ahead.
So, I mean, just the Connor effect. And are they the same type of player? Not really at all. But I feel like they would take the opportunity to work him in which way they can. Because, I mean, it's not like D'Angelo Williams is any type similar to Le'Veon Bell, and James Conner is not even really that similar to Le'Veon Bell. You've seen some of the cuts. It seems like he's learned some of those from Le'Veon Bell, but there's no way that they're similar running backs.
See, now I feel like I'm on an island, and I've said it on the show before. I think James Conner, while he's having success, is strictly a product of the system. I think Samuels, I don't want to say more talented. I think he's a different running back. I mean, you kind of talked about Bell and Williams. I feel like if Connor goes anywhere else, he doesn't have the success that he's had in Pittsburgh. I feel like if Le'Veon Bell goes somewhere else, he can still have that success that he's had because of his talent. I like Samuels. I feel like they could put him, he played tight end in college. They could put him in the slot. He's kind of a big body guy that could be that receiver for them. In fact, he was one of my first renegades on the show, and I've always had hopes for the guy. I've seen some video and watched some film on him, and I feel like if he's ever given a chance to kind of take that, and this could be his chance, that you'll see a bump in value.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think that he can be I know, back to that argument. I just don't think he's the type of runner that Connor or Bell or really, any running back that the Steelers have had. I just see him. He's like near a fullback type of, like a use check, like
yes,
that kind. So yeah. I don't know.
So speaking of rookie running backs becoming starters, Jeff Wilson will be starting running back this week for San Francisco. Where do you rank Wilson this week for his matchup against Denver? Last week, a little recap of his stats: 15 rushes, 61 yards, hauled in 8 of 9 targets for 73 yards. I mean, that's a big day from a rookie who going in wasn't expected to start.
I wasn't expecting to hear that name this year.
No, I have Breida in a few leagues, and I'm watching. I'm going, what the? Who is this Jeff Wilson? Like, what is going on? Not knowing, I did what the Niners game wasn't on, but I'm like, but looking at the numbers, for me, running backs that catch passes are super attractive. I know that's not when Justin's here. He hates those guys. I don't understand why. So that's kind of what jumped out at me. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. I love Kyle Shanahan, and he has proven that he can take any running back and make them have value. Alfred Morris, Breida. We didn't really get to see McKinnon, but just all these guys that are in the system.
But we know. You gotta know.
Use chat. I mean, guys that you're like, oh, thanks, go away. He can get value out of. So Wilson, where is he for you this week?
He's the guy there. Morris is gone. Breida is gone. There's no one else to get the work. So he's getting the volume, and volume is going to speak in fantasy points, translate into it easily. So Denver's run defense, decent.
Yeah.
As a team, decent. So are they going to be leading on the 49ers? That would be my cause of concern. But they seem to be relatively competing in the game. But like you said, he's involved in the passing game. So he's involved, period. And I think that garners him to be a top 15 to top 20 running back. I think a relatively safe RB2 flex play this week.
Yeah, that's where I've got him. I've got him a mid to low RB2 with potential to jump. Obviously, I mean, like you said, usage is there. The head coach is someone that knows how to use their guys. I mean,
he got a lot of targets too.
Yeah.
I mean, what 9 was it? You said 8 catches?
8 catches on 9 targets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's Kittle and it's Wilson.
Yeah.
Goodwin's coming back, but.
And at this point, I mean, we've lost Kareem Hunt. We've lost Melvin Gordon. Tried to figure out whatever you could out of Breida, I guess, or, whatever was there in Philadelphia. I mean, you need to grab onto something.
Yeah.
And so you might have to.
Just kind of a dad stat. The rookie running backs this year have kind of, I feel like they've surprised the top guys. Everyone knew Barkley was going to be a stud. But guys got hurt. Sony was out. Johnson took a while to get hot. Rojo's been nowhere to be found. I want to list off some of these undrafted rookie free agents that have come out of nowhere. Josh Adams, Gus Edwards, Phillip Lindsay, and now we've got Jeff Williams. So it's interesting to see this running back class was kind of vaulted and said, oh, they're going to be really good. You've got all this stuff at the top. I feel like the first wide receiver wasn't taken until 107, 108. And even these undrafted guys that I don't think anybody was high on. Josh Adams coming out, Gus Edwards. I feel like Phillip Lindsay was an afterthought in Denver. Do we need to start like
Freeman landing? Yeah, I
mean, it's really interesting to me that a lot of these guys that weren't even drafted have just shown up, and everyone says running backs don't matter. And maybe this undrafted class kind of shows that.
Yeah, anyone can really hit, and it is a product of what system they're in, kind of what you're saying about the Steelers. And, is it the Ravens running game that's successful just in general? Alex Collins did fine. I think Gus Edwards is also just fine. I don't think he's blowing up by any means. Josh Adams is getting some work, and there hasn't been a great running game in Philly, I guess. So maybe he's someone to look at, I think. And I've heard some touts about Josh Adams, and the Phillip Lindsay, we know about the offensive line there for the Broncos. I mean, it's just been nuts. And we know about Shanahan. So, I mean, is it a product of the system, or is it that we, misevaluated the tape, the analytics, whatever it is of these running backs? I don't know. I think we should pay a little more respect to these guys, though. And I kind of mentioned that on Open Bar that with the running back class, this 2019 draft, we're not going to see a great class, and maybe it gives us a chance to find these guys and look into some other things that might give us some insight and compare to what Adams, Edwards, Lindsey, Wilson, all these guys have done, these late round dudes.
So speaking of missing on tape, the Bills cut Kelvin Benjamin.
He's not missing on any sort of tape, bro. He's all there.
He's on. Wow. So we started when we first met, when we first did this, we did Grab Bag Fantasy Podcast and had a very, very in-depth, lengthy, sometimes heated conversation about Kelvin Benjamin with Chris Whitman. Has any player had a quicker fall from grace than KB?
Like Coleman?
Well, okay. But if we look at that class, here are some of the wide receivers from the 2014 class. Now, I will admit I picked the big names, but some were drafted before Benjamin, some were drafted after. So we're looking, this is the huge wide receiver class. Watkins, Evans, OBJ, Brandon Cooks was at 20. Those are the guys that went before him. Then Kelvin Benjamin, 28. Devontae Adams at 53, Allen Robinson at 61, Jarvis Landry. A lot of these guys hit. And it feels like, Evans is eating, OBJ's eating, Cooks is eating. Kelvin Benjamin's eating, but he's just not doing it on the football field. He's eating anything he can see. He blew up. He's a tight end body. I wonder if Yahoo can get it changed so where Kelvin Benjamin's listed as a tight end. Can we do that like they do with Samuels? Can we figure that out?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And it might be fair to him because he might get a spot.
Does he rebound anywhere? Does anybody do you see anybody giving him a shot?
Yeah, I mean, sure. But I just think that we seriously misevaluated that one. And I think it is a product of Cam, really, that year that he had when Kelvin Benjamin broke out of sorts, that it was highly touchdown dependent and, target dependent. But was he good? I don't know. I don't think he was. So
I feel like
he might land somewhere.
In that conversation when we talked about Kelvin, that we both agreed that Kelvin was a little bit overrated. And I agree with you. I think he'll get a shot somewhere.
I think he's just going to be a piece of an NFL team, is that Michael Floyd has jumped on the Patriots and scored a touchdown kind of thing. Like right. That's what I see.
Kelvin Benjamin. He's still in the league. Yeah,
exactly.
Right, yeah, kind of jump around.
Yeah.
Little bit of not anything that's going to affect this year, but maybe if you're playing long term. The Texans activated Donta Foreman from the PUP. Is he worth rostering anywhere?
I'm just curious because that Achilles is just so tough to come back from, man. I've seen athletes come back from that and they just do not look the same whatsoever. And history says that there's never been success from it. So
the only one I can think of, and correct me if I'm wrong, did Crabtree have it? Didn't Crabtree come back from an Achilles?
Was Crabtree an Achilles?
I thought you might know that.
It does sound familiar. The one I'm thinking of as far as Achilles goes is related to basketball, but Kobe Bryant. Yeah. So yeah, it was Crabtree that had the Achilles tear, though.
So Crabtree's like the outlier.
Sure.
And I remember this conversation when Des Bryant went out and busted his Achilles, that guys that don't usually come back from this very solid. And speaking of Achilles, we had another one today. Manny Sanders tore his Achilles, out for the year. I feel like these, not that, and I'm kind of switching roles here, but I feel like Dez and Sanders, like we could be calling it a career. These are 30, 31-year-old wide receivers, Achilles injuries. You mentioned that they don't usually come back full strength to what they were. Thoughts on that? I mean, are they done?
I think so. Not necessarily due to the Achilles, but more so with the combination of age and an Achilles. Like, I am just curious about maybe with Crabtree and just developing this kind of new medicine of sorts. I mean, ACLs don't really matter anymore.
Right.
That those are a dime a dozen. So maybe what is it? 40 is the new 30. Like the Achilles, the new
is the new ACL.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it that we don't know about, that they could be successful in coming back. So I'm curious. I'm mostly curious about the Foreman thing because he is young and spry, and well, we'll see. And I think he has the best opportunity, at least with Dez and Emmanuel Sanders. I don't know.
With Foreman, I've got him a couple places, but I've only got him because I've got Lamar Miller. Like, that was the only reason I had him. And Casey came back and tore it up. He wasn't always destined for the pup, and so that's the only
I think
place.
they want him on the field, though. They've been wanting him to come back from the pup, and they just wanted him to be ready because I mean, it's a sensitive injury, so they got to be full strength for that. And yeah, because I don't think they have long-term plans for Lamar Miller.
No, I think he's gone after this year.
Yeah,
but he's having a resurgence. I mean, I know he was low-end RB2 on the season. I'm assuming the last few weeks where he's been hot have bumped him up to that mid-upper RB2 area. But I don't think he's, like you said, I don't think he's there long-term.
Yeah, and that's mostly probably the product of the offense and Deshaun Watson getting hot again and just making people better around him. Looks like he's a free agent until 2020, though. So that 2020 running back class, I don't know. Maybe they hold on to him for another year or pick up some help. I don't know.
Let's see. Okay, last one. The butt fumbler is back. Mark Sanchez is going to start for the Redskins. Sorry to Colt McCoy, freak injury. It feels like if you have a leg and you're a quarterback in Washington, you need to be careful. But Mark Sanchez starter. They just signed Josh Johnson today. Are either one of these guys worth anything in a super flex 2-quarterback league? Like, are you gonna be the guy that starts Sanchez? I feel like if you're in that situation, you're not in the playoffs.
Well, you might have had Alex Smith though, and you may have had a like Mariota who's been in between and been relying on him.
Are you starting Sanchez over Mariota?
No. That's not my argument at all. No. I'm just saying, like, between struggles, you've had to bench him, start, or because Mariota's missed games or missed time, or you just didn't trust him, kind of thing. But
yeah,
I think any quarterback that is starting an NFL game should be rostered, but that's just probably more so as a defensive tactic in the event that someone else does it. And then for whatever reason, he gets 3 touchdowns and 350 yards, and you just lost to the 6th seed who picked up Mark Sanchez because they lost Alex Smith and then Colt McCoy.
That would be awful. I feel like that's a horror story you would tell for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Back in 2018. Well, that kind of does it for news and notes. Did I miss anything? Like, the Emmanuel Sanders news broke earlier today, so I'm glad I got that in here. But I don't know if am I forgetting anything?
I feel great about what you've covered thus far.
Awesome, good. Well, hey, thanks. I'm gonna go a little off script.
I don't know if you picked up your kids from school.
Did I forget them? No, they're good. little off script, not on a rundown. What are your thoughts? You're in quite a few dynasty leagues, yes?
Enough.
Okay. Thoughts on vetoing trades in dynasty leagues?
Don't.
Ever, right?
Yeah. I mean, unless it's collusion, which is always that's the standard basic pumpkin spice latte answer, but it's true. It's just it's hard to assess what exactly is collusion, but I think especially if you're in a dynasty league, you can really start to understand, fantasy football, because you're taking this thing to the next level and understand what's cheating and what's not.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw out a scenario to you.
Okay.
No names, nothing. Let's say we're in a league together. You've got a guy I really like, and I'm willing to just throw an offer at you that I know is super duper unbalanced. You're the clear winner of the trade. You just got a guy that I really want, and you accept. What do you expect your league mates to do?
Get upset, of course. They'll get upset. Okay. If they might call it collusion. I don't know. There might be some. I don't know if you're allowed to tell me these circumstances of like, is this team just lost AJ Green? Are they trying to swing for the playoffs? Like, I don't know.
So this happened in a league that I'm in, and I don't want to use names. I was involved, and I got the better of a deal. Tight end premium league. I had Zach Ertz. I traded Zach Ertz. I got a haul. I will openly admit that it was not a fair trade if you look at it on paper. But both owners were happy. The guy that got Ertz was super happy. Obviously, I was happy with my return. I'm a 2 seed in the league. I got blasted. Everyone was mad at me as the team that accepted. You should know better. You shouldn't have accepted that. That's not fair. and my counter argument was, I'm happy. I got the better of the deal. The other guy's happy. He got the player that he wanted. I don't see why there's an issue, but I was drug over the coals as a guy that should know better. They know, I feel like, because I've got a podcast, I'm kind of held to a higher standard, and that sounds like a super duper humble brag, and I'm not trying to do that. But I don't. If there were anyone to be mad at the other guy that sent the super unbalanced offer. Don't be mad at the guy that accepted it.
Yeah, it's at what point. Again, with that collusion line, at what point do you say that's collusion and that people just value players differently?
Right.
999 times out of 1,000, it's going to be that people value players differently.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. What was on his side? Or am I allowed to know that?
I can tell you. People are going to hate me now on the podcast because of it. So I traded... Oh, let me pull it up so I don't misquote it, but it was not pretty. I know it was Zach Ertz, LaShawn McCoy, a 2020 first, a 2020 first, a 2020 first, second, Jeff Hourman, and another, you can take him, I'm going to cut him kind of guy. Here we go. Bilal Powell, Zach Ertz, LaShawn McCoy, Hourman, 2021 first, 2021 second, for Gronk, Robert Woods, Julio Jones, and Rashad Penny.
Say your side of it.
What I got?
Wait, which? I don't even know what you...
I got the Gronk side. I got Gronk, Penny, Julio, and Robert Woods. Basically for Ertz.
Well, you gave up... Didn't you give up a first?
Yeah, the first 3 years out. And LaShawn McCoy. Who's probably the Rashad Penny equivalent at this point, I guess. Yeah.
But you're obviously trying to buy low there. And Ertz is way more valuable than Gronk. Is Gronk even playing next year? I think that was a buy low for you on Gronk. And Julio. You got Julio and Robert Woods?
Yeah.
So... Zach Ertz is probably between Robert Woods and Julio as far as value goes, but that's where it would be tough because it kind of sounds like you may have gotten Gronk like as far as value goes, probably around Gronk for free. Ish.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And maybe like because he threw in Bilal Powell, maybe a little less or something. But
Right.
whatever. Yeah. But like I said, I think you're taking a risk with Gronk, and maybe that dude didn't feel comfortable with Gronk. Maybe he felt like he was getting out from under something with Gronk. I have felt similar in recent weeks. So whatever. Like
that's okay. Thank you. That's all I was looking for. Like, I didn't think it was. It's clear that
like, what are you going to do with Zach Ertz in this playoff run versus Gronk? Like, you're taking a risk with Gronk. I still will say that he's like a 15th best tight end or something this year. I don't know. He's trash this year, and which is weird to say, but it's true. Robert Woods and Julio, top 10 guys, top 15 guys, depending on how Woods does in a certain week. But so that's where it really propels you. And I don't know. I don't hate it. Whatever.
Thanks. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Just to give context, I tried not to I knew I wanted to talk about it. There were some comments. Oh, if you're going to talk about it on the podcast, at least bring one of us on to give our side. So I'm like, I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to give all the facts, but that's what it is. So let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll come back with the Renegades. I'll kind of recap. I'll explain what the Renegades are to you, and then we'll do Wager of the Week, and then we'll get out of here.
Renegades. Yeah, the Renegades. Red Shaw's Renegades.
All right, and we're back with the Renegades. That sounder is probably the second. I really like it, Gabe. No offense to the work that you've done. I like yours too, but man, Back Row Fantasy Show did that sounder, and it is killer. So Renegades, let's recap. Let's explain it to the listeners again. So Brenshaw's Renegades are anybody in MFL that is owned in less than 50% of leagues that I think can have a decent week. Some weeks are better than others. Last week, let's recap. I picked LeGarrette Blount. I thought he might do okay with Johnson out. Didn't do awful. Finished the week with 6 points. Not bad of a guy that you can pick up off waivers. He's no Phillip Lindsay like we talked about weeks ago, but he still produced. And we hit Josh Doxson. Doxson with the quarterback change in Washington, didn't see a whole lot from Mr. Sanchez. Finished the game with 8 points. This week's Renegades. I feel like they're super obvious, Gabe. We've talked about both these guys already. The first one we're going to talk about, Jeff Wilson. San Francisco, going to start. Matt Breida was ruled out Monday, meaning Wilson will, at the very least, get a start this week against Denver. Wilson also looked good against the Seahawks on Sunday, and the 49ers have consistently created fantasy points for running backs. San Francisco backs have scored the 10th most points this season and have the third most rushing yards in the league. Even if you're in the playoffs, stash this guy so he can't hurt you. I picked him up everywhere I can. I'm not going to get hurt by the guy. What say you?
I'm with it. Why not? I mean, like we already talked about it, volume is the biggest thing. And without Breida there, I feel like he's a safe RB2. So we good.
Okay. So now we're on to Jalen.
This is my Renegade.
There we go. Gabe's grenades.
Gabe's. Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. I was going to say Gabe's Skechers. That's way better.
42% of leagues in MFL. James Conner out this week. Could be longer. Samuels is the number one guy for me. Mike Tomlin confirmed the Steelers plan to use a running back by committee with Conner sidelined as in the possible. Stephen Ridley hurts him. But the upside here is crazy. They get the Raiders. Awesome spot for him. If you're in Yahoo and you can play him at tight end, do whatever. Like that's kind of your thing. But Samuels is easy for me. The pick of the week that I think is going to explode the most.
And as I kind of said before, I think I was leaning into Samuels a little bit myself. So I am with you, my man.
So let's do this. We're gonna go to Wager of the Week now. This is usually Justin's segment, and I'm not I will admit I am not as avid a sports gambler as Justin is, but I gave it my best shot.
It's the Dynasty Dad's Wager of the Week.
So this week, Panthers giving 1.5 points at Cleveland. Gabe, did you know that there are 17 different shades of brown? And none of them are going to beat the Panthers this week. The Panthers are looking to pounce on the opportunity to stay in the playoff hunt. They are currently the 7th seed in the NFC, and they're trying to prowl their way into the playoffs by beating the Chestnut team from Cleveland. The beige defense that Cleveland employs currently gives up 26 points per game and currently ranks about 20th against the pass and 25th against the rush. The Panthers are coming off an embarrassing loss to the Bucs and will be out for some mahogany-colored blood this week. Ride Supercam this week and let out a roar when the Panthers kick the Browns in the Chestnuts.
Oh, my.
That is my pun-filled wager of the week. Go slam the line for the Panthers.
I was thinking with the 17 shades of brown with like weeks of the season and like which shade are we getting this week?
Oh, probably the one that doesn't win. So, yeah, I don't believe in Cleveland. I know everyone says it's a great place to be next year and that head coaching position is going to be really attractive. They're still the Browns. Like, it's really hard for me to shake that.
It is. But, I think the 76ers, I know this basketball take, but 76ers got that same shade for quite a while, and here they are. So maybe. Next year is the year. Are we Cubs fans with the Browns here? Exactly, the Cubs too.
After 100 years, you would think that
the Open Bar is likely the official Browns podcast. I mean, we were there on the hype all off season, and they've improved.
I will give them that. They have improved. They've got cap space to make some moves. Chubb, you want to do your Chubb call?
Wubba lubba Chubb Chubb.
Chubb is there. Looks like a stud. Landry, depending on the week. I think Baker Mayfield's pretty good. Yeah, the offense is a lot to believe in and project that they're going to do well. The defense is okay. I think it'll depend a lot on who they bring in. I've seen a few things that suggest Mike McCarthy is the leader in the clubhouse for the Browns job. I don't know. They're still the Browns.
Here we go, huh?
So, well, Gabe, I think that's a pretty good show.
I feel like a dad.
You feel like a dad? Welcome. Honorary Dynasty Dad.
Yeah, kids, I'm going to walk out of this studio of sorts from mine, and
those high socks, khaki shorts, flip-flops.
Yeah, the sandals, the sliders, those are ready.
Pun it up. Lots of puns.
Yes. Yeah. The pun game is tight, bro. Okay.
That's probably my favorite part of being a dad. This is the terrible, terrible jokes that I can make.
Yeah, I've got plenty of head shakes come my way.
Well, and I feel like that's kind of a teaching thing too. Like
it is.
You make corny jokes and they just look at you and they're like, "Really?" But
yeah, they cringe. They cringe. They hate it,
right.
but they love it. But they love it.
Do you want that A? Laugh at my terrible jokes.
How funny was it?
Yeah.
85
I see you need
95.
I see you need some extra credit. Here's a joke. So remind everybody again where they can find you, what you're up to.
I'm the Twitter handle is at @FFManBun. Yes, it's in light of the man bun that I get called out for frequently. We've got the Open Bar podcast with my man J Mike. He's at J Mike Check. He's a much better follow than me and a much better speaker than me. My goodness, I hate being behind the mic while I'm on a podcast with him. He just embarrasses me every single week. But come and check us out live. We're there every Tuesday night, 9:30 Eastern. Comes out into podcast form the next day. They're out on all those platforms between iTunes and Spotify and things. So, and if you need an intro of sorts, Drop me a line.
He is the fantasy
and I will
football,
drop you some lines.
the rapper.
Is that my phrase? Is that my catchphrase? Drop me a line, I'll drop you some lines.
That is good. You should like trademark that, put that in your bio. Like that's the place to be.
Okay.
We can be found at Dynasty Dads on Twitter, dynastydads.com, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, all the same places that you can find the open bar. One last little plug here before we get going. Gabe, I know you've been involved in this last year, but the second annual Daddy's Awards are coming soon. And I cannot wait. We've got some new awards coming out. This is kind of what we live for. Like this is at the end of the year, after the playoffs are over, like the daddies come out. It's our big celebration of everything that's going on in the year. Some highlights from last year. My dad can beat up your dad, Gronk. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Mike Evans won that last year. So we've got some new blood in here. We've got some fresh new awards. I'm excited for it. Be on the lookout for that. Twitter polls, that's what we'll do. Hit us up in a DM. Until then, Gabe, thanks for helping out today.
Man, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Everybody else, have a good week. God bless.
Thanks for hanging out with us on another episode of the Dynasty Dads Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and follow us on Twitter at Dynasty Dads. Visit us at our website, dynastydads.com, for articles, news, and notes, Dynasty Dads gear, and more.